Hello and welcome to the Read the Manga podcast with Corey and Zach. That's Corey, I'm Zach. Today we are going to be talking about the superhero parody series One Punch Man. Its original inception as a webcomic, its eventual adaptation by Yusuke Murata into one of the most beautifully drawn series on the planet, and eventually its adaptation into an anime by the studio Madhouse.
Yes,
All right.
those
So,
are all things that happen.
yes, in sequential order, actually.
I mean, one of the important things to know before the remake was even done was it came out as something where this guy literally gave up his full-time job, his entire actual life, in order to just dedicate himself to drawing the webcomic.
Yeah. In
He, he
this
he threw every caution to the wind and did it, and it went on for a while, and then he decided like I can't do it anymore, and that's when Murata was like, dude, if you quit, they'll be horrible. So you gotta do it. And if I redraw it, would you keep writing it? And then yeah, that's how. I mean, that's from what I heard how it
the,
how it
the
kept
the
going.
the fact that that happened is just so crazy to me. It's like if you got like some like small struggling independent filmmaker and then like Christopher Nolan came up and was like, "Hey dude, I want you to keep doing this. Is it okay if I just redirect your shit and just like remake it shot for shot on $100 million budget?" Like that's basically what happened. Like Yusuke Murato's and apparently Yusuke Murata was dying as well. Like he was really sick and he was basically like, "Hey, I just want to like do something I can be proud of before like anything happens to me. So I'm going to contact this guy that I'm a huge fan of that nobody knows about, a hero nobody knows, if you will, and be like, hey, I really like your comic. Can I please like redraw it?" And he was actually able to contact, I think it was Young Jump, and get that series published on their website. And
Yeah,
now One Punch Man is the thing that it is today.
yeah, it's an underdog series that is about a guy who is literally the most overpowered creature in his world.
Yeah. And they were able to create a compelling series around somebody that has no real physical challenges. It's like once you become the strongest guy in the world, what else do you have to deal with? Turns out just paying rent, finding out what you're going to eat for dinner, taking advantage of
Emotions.
bargain
That's the point of
sales.
the series is the emotions of it. Like, all the other characters have their interesting backstories and like all he has to say is blah blah blah, like whatever, I don't care, like I'm a normal regular guy and you're some alien dude, like I don't care, I'm gonna
Yeah.
punch you.
It's just like I'm just a hero for fun. You're just
And
you're part of my day, but you're not my whole day.
what really got me was the part where Boros and him have that conversation after their fight in the final episode of the first season.
Oh, by
And
the way, this is gonna have spoilers.
yeah, it's always gonna have spoilers, they know that. But the Boros is like laying there dying, and he's just like, "You weren't even trying." After Saitama's like, "Yeah, dude, that was a good fight. You're tough." And he's
Yeah.
just, it wasn't a good fight.
It was the toughest fight Saitama had, but the only thing that was different was that he had to actually put some force into his punch.
So far, right now, the rankings of most difficult battles Saitama has fought goes Crablante, everyone else.
Yeah.
Like,
Crablante was actually a tough fight. I love the way he kills him too, wraps his tie around his eye and just pulls him out of his shell.
yeah, and like rereading it, like I went like I've read it, I've watched it like 5 times. I did. This is probably like number 6 for this one. So it's like I'm just saying like, I love this part when he does this. He's gonna accidentally punch him in the balls. That's great. But
Like the
like,
the jokes still work even if even if you know they're coming.
oh yeah, it's the timing and it's the character and heart that's put into the series as like uh Mob Psycho's his other series, and that's like on a similar level, but it's more like geared towards like high school loners that aren't really loners, or people that are just awkward and want to be friends with people, but they're awkward.
Mhm.
Whereas Saitama is like literally someone who is bitter from the world that, like he was trying to work for companies and couldn't get a job. So he was bitter about that. Decides, I want to be a hero instead, becomes a hero, but then like there's no challenges with the job. So now he's just like, what do I do? And it's
Yeah.
like he's still needed. He's a necessary component of the world, like he he just on his way walking home from the grocery store, he probably kills more monsters than most heroes do, you know, actively looking for them. And I
Mhm.
think that's kind of funny is like the episode before, the one where he runs around town looking for a bad guy, it's like he can't walk around without any monsters attacking him. Then the following episode, it's like they called it the terrifying city,
Mhm.
and the joke's like there's nothing going on
Yeah.
because
I,
he kills everything with such a rapid rate that like it's hard for the monsters to proliferate in his area.
yeah. And I love when he's like going around looking for a bad guy and speed of sound Sonic attacks him and
Jack
they're
Lantern
fighting.
panic.
Yeah, and he's like, go away. I need to fight a bad guy. Oh wait, I guess you qualify as a bad guy. I'm just gonna beat you.
And he instantaneously just teleports, chops him, and it's done.
Yeah.
Like he just needed to get that quota filled.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Yeah.
what I like about it too, is like there's a lot of like the bureaucracy of the Heroes Association, which he ironically started.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
It was inspired by him saving the kid with the big chin. And then his
yeah,
dad with the big chin created the Hero Association because of that, which
yeah,
Saitama didn't even know existed for 3 years.
yeah, exactly. And on top of it, like, what's it called? I don't know. I had a thought going, but it was like essentially it's kind of like when he stops the meteor and Tank Top, whatever black hole starts talking crap on him, and he looks at everybody and he goes like, "Look, I don't do this crap for your guys' admiration. I do it because I just felt like being a hero."
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you'll have people that will complain day and night about people with power to do things for them because it's expected of heroes. The tropes like heroes always will sacrifice themselves for anybody and all that. And you'll see heroes talk that way in the series. Like it's like a sales pitch.
Mhm.
And then you know, Saitama will come in, he'll just be like, I don't know, I don't really care. Whatever.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I love the dub voice actor for Saitama.
The
I
dub
love
voice actor is great. Have you seen what he looks like in real life?
uh-uh.
He looks like Saitama. Like he could play him in real life. Like he's like a 30-year-old dude that's like kind of attractive, kind of nerdy, and just like if you shaved him bald, you could throw him in there in like a live action adaptation. It would work perfectly.
What's it called? There's actually these guys on YouTube that do One Punch Man live actions they're pretty good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're really funny. The first one they did was the Geno Saitama fight,
Okay.
and the second one he did was the Mosquito one.
Wow. What are these
But
guys? What's the name of their YouTube channel?
oh, I'll have to look it up and send it to you. But
Yeah.
what's funny, I don't know, it's funny because in the one with the Mosquito, they actually add roommates or not roommates, other people in the apartment building.
Hmm.
So you get like reactions to normal people responding to the shockwaves from Saitama trying to get the Mosquito. And like one guy just sits there like super stressed out, like, why do I live near this guy?
That's actually really creative. I like that.
I one thing I want to point out about one other than one, that word's gonna pop up a lot
Yes.
in this, but is the fact that I went and picked up where I left off on the webcomic and it's still a great read. It's interesting. Like
See, I just started the webcomic for this podcast. I had never read it before, but I was kind of like trying to read it where I would read a few chapters of the webcomic, then a few chapters of the redraw, and then watch a couple episodes of the anime. But it's crazy how close the webcomic is to the redraw. Like aside from a few establishing shots and stuff, everything is pretty much scripted and storyboarded the exact same way. It's just one can't really draw for shit.
well, now it's getting to the point where they're starting to expand on things because when I was reading the webcomic, the most recent, I remember when I ran out of just the regular manga, well, not the manga by Murata and the anime. So I was like, I need my fix. So I started reading the webcomic a lot more. And I was like on the release every time it got released during the time when I was caught up, it was the ending to the second season essentially for the anime, or not second season, but like maybe the third season when it gets animated
Okay.
for the whole Monster Association arc.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is that Murata is now adding stuff like the Battle with Phoenix Man and stuff like that. That's different in the
Phoenix
manga.
Man?
Yeah, that's season 2 stuff.
Oh
He's
yeah,
a
we're
character that he gets introduced in season 2. He's just like a bad guy character, but you know, like it's not gonna spoil anything really. But it's like he originally doesn't get that much going on in the webcomic, and then in the redraw, they're adding and expanding on battles between characters, which I think
okay.
is really cool.
That's
And
awesome.
I think it shows kind of like when you do it shot for shot and you just redraw it, there's like some kind of like respect that's being adhered to.
Hmm.
But what I think now with the minor tweaks and differences, Murata's not somebody who's like One Punch Man needs to be better. He's somebody where I fully believe one and him are communicating. They have to be,
Yeah,
and you
because
know,
one
probably
still has creative
Toyotaro and
control.
Toriyama is probably how we're getting these new ideas out,
That makes sense.
which I'm totally for. I
I
mean,
I I,
it
I
means
kind of I kind of think of the relationship between one and Murata as kind of like the relationship between Saitama and Genos.
no, yeah,
Yeah, like Murata is the much flashier guy, but he is at heart the apprentice.
yeah, kind of. I mean, I haven't read Ice Shield 21 because I'm not a big sports manga guy,
Yeah,
but I mean, I read Ippo. That's a sports manga, but
that's
you know,
boxing. It's
it's a
cool.
different sport.
It's the
I'm not
cool
into
sport.
I'm not really big into American football. I used to be.
Mm.
But I mean, that's the thing though, is I feel like superheroes are kind of a drab thing. And if I keep hearing jokes about meta or the word meta or like viewer or trope, I've honestly heard the word trope be thrown out in a lot of shows lately and series, just all over the spectrum, you know, from American
Like
TV shows.
they're commenting on their own like story devices, basically.
Like, what was that? I was watching Psyche K, and I love Psyche K.
Hmm.
And, you know, it got away with an instance of this joke that I thought honestly was kind of funny, but it was like, there's this girl always worrying about her weight. And then the beginning of the episode shows her full on fat. And she like stands there and she's like, "Are you writers like proud of yourselves? Like, you're so lazy you have to go and pick on the dumbest tropes, especially on me, who's not even a character that gets any development, like for real." I'm like, all right, when they use it right there, that's funny because the character's like admonishing them for being lazy writers, which is funny because
Yeah.
they're self-deprecating. Whereas, like, you know, like you have Gintama, which is funny, and it does all the anime stuff already. Like, oh my god, the enemy stand or this or that.
Well, yeah, Gintama is
But
supposed to be like a parody series, though.
yeah,
It's
but
making fun of all the different tropes of different animes and mangas.
but that's where like One Punch Man's funny because like all these characters function as if like they are in each respected series. No one comments on it other than Saitama, and all he really does is just like act like how someone in that world would react to someone who has a ridiculous backstory like a lot of these
Yeah,
things. That's where I
aside
think the humor comes off not as heavy-handed with the meta-ness.
yeah,
And that's what
aside from Saitama, everybody else is playing the story straight. Like they think they're in a real shonen series. And
like
if
when
you
Genos tells him his whole speech about why he wants him to trade him, but he's just like the music keeps going and or
it's
it's
like
just like
sum it up in 20 words or less. Come on.
yeah, like trying to read that and the way the Murata does it, the panel where it's just filling the whole page
Yeah.
with words and it gets annoying even for the reader. Like this is stupid. Like you want to just turn the page and be like, get to it.
Yeah, but Genos is like a great parody of the superheroes with overcomplicated origin stories that you don't give a shit about. Like One Punch Man would appreciate something like Radioactive Man from The Simpsons, where it's just like he gets hit by a nuclear bomb, he's radioactive man. That's the entire backstory. And I think that's like almost that's one kind of commenting on storytelling efficiency as a whole. I think he was kind of annoyed with super drawn out, elaborate, convoluted backstories for characters that went nowhere. And he's like, just sum up your character's story in 20 words or less. If it's a good story, we'll be able to relate to it and get involved in it. And I think that's kind of what Saitama is a response to.
It's funny because it's like you have this guy who everybody would be like, well, big talk coming from a guy who can't even draw a dude's face round. Like, you know, but at the core of it, it's like the storytelling, the writing, the entire author aspect of it is on point. Like
Mhm.
it's just people knock it because of the art, and then people like when it first came out, people were like, this isn't art. But now, like with the redraws and everything, people love when they see the original like art pop up in the newer stuff because it drives a point home at one, reminding you of the source material, and two, instead of going like chibi gag faces for like punchlines, now you have something that's funnier. Hey, we'll go back to the bad art.
Yeah, exactly. You go
And
back to the shitty art for the jokes where like Saitama's just like got straight face and he's just like, oh, okay.
but he's getting better. I'll give him that. Like, you know, and he draws he's been drawing with a tablet the whole time. And I've tried drawing with a tablet and that stuff's hard. So if you're not an artist to begin with and like good at art, but you have a story to tell, I feel for the guy. Like,
Yeah, like you have to appreciate how one didn't really have any artistic talent, but he still like sat down
you
and
have
drew the manga every week, even though he wasn't very good at drawing.
like you have a world in your head and you want to show people, but you
Mhm,
can't get it out,
mhm.
then it doesn't exist. So he forced something out of nothing. Even if it wasn't the best version of what he could see, even if Murata's is like, holy crap, I didn't think my series could look this cool. Like
Mm.
that's the thing. Like, you know, he took that risk and he even put his whole livelihood on it. That's what's
Yeah.
crazy about it. That's why I think like the character Saitama is so genuine because it's like he lives very cheaply month to month, bare minimum nothing. He straight up says at one point he doesn't pay rent because no one actually lives there, so he's squatting in his apartment. Like, or the rent's, or he says the rent is very cheap because of all the monster attacks. So
He's
it's like,
basically living in like the One Punch Man version of Section 8 housing.
yeah. And he's like an extreme couponer. Like, all right, you know, and he doesn't mind foraging for things. Like,
Yeah, he
you know,
lives very frugally.
yeah. And it's because like, you know, not a lot of people like know about Japan and stuff. And like you have a lot of people who watch the same stuff as us. They're like, oh, I want to move to Japan. It's like you don't want to move to Japan.
Mhm.
Especially if you live in California, you don't want to move to Japan. Like you get there and they're like, what, you're not good at anything? Go die. You're like, all right, cool.
Mhm.
And like, so that's why it's kind of crazy because by a cultural standpoint, Saitama's kind of like essentially a bum
Mhm.
because like he's just doing life for fun, which like in their culture, like you either work 80 hours a week and say hi to your kids in the hallway or you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And here's this guy who's supposed to be kissing feet at an office who decided to do enough push-ups and sit-ups and run to where he
Mhm.
could one shot pirate kings of the universe.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
through quarantine, my lifestyle has become very Saitama-esque. I just kind of go out, work out, eat some food, go to the local ramen shop, and then kind of come back to my house and chill in my room. And like, it's not a bad lifestyle. Like, I'm kind of bummed about having to go back to work because what Saitama's doing is actually kind of dope. Like,
Well,
it actually kind of works if you're just like living frugally and are okay with being with yourself.
that's why like a lot of people when they ask me what I'm doing, like, you know, I have friends and family members that are in construction. They're all based around the quality of your life based off of how bad you feel at the end of the day.
Yeah, which is
And
so stupid.
it is, especially when you're in a time and place where if you told people about the technological advancements that we have now, they'd be like, wow, like what's crazy is, you know, you know, and it kind of shows how when you just do what you love, then you're able to give it that amount of effort and care. And, you know, when you cut back on the other things, then that's what, like, I do love the joke how it says like to keep, he says you don't turn on the AC no matter how tough it gets. And it says on the sign like save money. So he's literally just trying to save money.
Yeah, but
Like
he's incorporating it into his training. Like I have to weather through the elements, but
it could
really
have
it's
just been
like,
it could have just been the push-ups he did that gave him the punching strength and the sit-ups and all that. It could have been all that, or just the 10K run every day that gave him power.
yeah.
You know, and that's what I love about it is like everybody, even in the webcomic, they're still wondering how he got his powers. It's like, why does it
Mhm.
matter? The dude
Yeah.
literally just put more effort than anyone would ever put into an idea,
Mhm.
and he achieved it. He was rewarded for the amount of effort he did with that, but he was also cursed because he didn't know
And
what to do when he got there.
it's a great lesson though of like how to achieve success. It's not about finding a quick way to become the best or succeed in your field. It's about putting the reps in and just doing it every fucking day, even if you don't want to.
That's why I think Moomin Rider's awesome.
Moomin
and,
Rider is
and
awesome.
why he thinks Moomin Rider's awesome.
He's a guy with the mentality of Saitama, but without like the superpowers, basically.
Yeah, he'd
He's
just
like,
be Saitama if he didn't get the super strength.
yeah, exactly. They're kind of two peas in a pod in that way.
His name translates to licenseless rider.
Yeah,
So
because
he's just a guy who rides a bike because he can't drive.
exactly. uh,
Which I
I
love.
hope that they like. I I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I think it'd be funny if they implied why he couldn't drive. Like I kind of like that they don't really like touch on that, like why he never decided to get a driver's license or why he doesn't have a driver's
Well,
license.
it's their designation for their namings that's interesting because I
Yeah.
like to think about their naming thing and I like to think of the name of the series. And I'd like to think of the name of the series as like we know the series is done or coming to an end when everybody on the streets will see Saitama and be like, "Look, it's One Punch Man.
Yeah.
He kills everybody in one punch. You go, man." Like
Like when
and
is he gonna cease to be caped baldy and people are gonna start calling him One Punch Man?
yeah, and that's kind of the thing is like we're seeing somebody who's put a lot of effort in and they suffer for 3 years, which I'm like, seems like a specific amount of time, Mr. Author. But like
Is that how long it took him to get One Punch Man off the ground?
probably not. Maybe who knows? But what I think is funny is it is like you said, it's most people find the stories more interesting if the plot moves at an exhilarating pace. What they don't want to watch is the nitty gritty day to day stuff, which is literally what One Punch Man is most of the time. Like,
Hmm.
you know, if anything, like we didn't see his boring workout because it was only interesting enough for 10 to 15 seconds on screen or a page or two
Yeah.
in the comic. But, like, what's it called? That's why just seeing the amount like it's just about putting effort and trying like
Yeah.
he tells characters that like just try or he'll wonder why they go through all these elaborate like mental gymnastics to justify things and he's just like I don't know, I just think that you're really posturing or something like are you overcompensating for something, do you need help? I don't know.
Uh
He's very blunt and deadpan and I like deadpan humor like it kind of he kind of dryly goes through the world, kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like King of the Hill, how dry it is. Like that's
yeah.
Saitama's kind of view on everything. Like keep it to 20 words or less. It's not interesting. I've heard this before. I've seen all the shows, so I'm gonna kill you now. All right.
Exactly. And when you're that powerful, why would you need to beat around the bush? He's just kind of like he's just kind of a dude that doesn't really have a whole lot of patience for people and just kind of wants to chill and do his own thing. Like when
Well,
Genos came in and tried to live with him, he was like, fuck no, up until Genos decided to pay rent.
yeah. And he was like, "How much can you pay?"
Yeah.
Oh,
I,
excellent.
this is
Wait,
skip.
which goes back to the fact that he was willing to deal with his annoyance for what is possibly probably like $200 or $300 worth of rent.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. And
he's a
and this is
cheap date.
he's a cheap date. And this is skipping ahead a little bit, but I love the scene where he's sitting there making hot pot and like more and more heroes keep coming
Yeah.
in and he's just sitting there. He's like, I didn't invite any of you here. Why are you in my house? But everybody's just ignoring him. Like he's got like this
And
friend
he'll
group.
bluntly tell people like, "Don't come in and sit down," and they'll come in and sit down. He'll be like, "I hate you all."
Yes, he's got this friend group that's like around him now because everybody respects his strength and he just doesn't even want to be social with people. He's just like, I don't understand why you're in my house.
I've heard people say like they wish he had hair, and I think it's better that he's bald, like
It's
because it makes him goofy. So like he could say mean things. Like he's a mean person. He's not nice to some
he's
people. Like
kind
he'll
of a
be like, "I
dick.
hate you. You should go die," and they'll be like, "Why do you say that to me?" And he's like, "Because it's true."
Yeah. But I like the bald look because they gave him the most plain design possible. Like he has no defining features
Well, you know who he's
whatsoever.
based off of, right?
Who
Anpan Man.
I've never read On Pond Man.
I haven't either, but it is like like how like we have Popeye like really old cartoons or like Looney Tunes. Like Anpan Man's from Japan's time for that. Like it's an old series,
Okay.
but he's a guy who wears a yellow jumpsuit and has red boots and red gloves, and he's bald.
Mm.
So One Punch Man in English is just a little bit off Anpan Man in
Mm.
Japanese. So that's why he's that.
That makes sense. That's kind of funny. I
Did you
like
get
that.
that thing I sent you with the Murata artwork?
Um,
It
I
was
think so.
it was him doing redraws of like Into the Spider-Verse and
Yeah,
Spider-Man, all that.
I saw his Spider-Man drawing. That looked very pretty. I liked
Yeah,
that.
it's that's interesting. Like Murata himself, because like we keep talking about one,
Mhm.
and of course he's the brain behind it. But I mean, like you gotta like, of course Murata is getting a lot of recognition because he's the good art guy, of
Mhm.
course. Like so I'm not saying he's not getting recognition, but it's like very interesting to see that he has a love for American comics. I'm sure a lot of mangakas have an appreciation for American comics. I mean, like American comics are kind of like a standard for a lot of places. I don't really hear about other comics too much. Like manhwa
Yeah.
and France has comics, but
Okay.
not really out. Like Snowpiercer was a French comic,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I don't really hear much outside of that. So I mean, I'm the bench is short, but it's kind of cool to see Murata have like he likes superheroes, like the contemporary superheroes. It's
Mhm.
kind of cool to see that, like like One Punch Man is like in Jump, so it's not directly competing with My Hero, but they're both about superheroes in a society that's saturated with superheroes.
Yeah.
But what I feel like One Punch Man does is it looks at it from like an adult perspective. Like not to say like My Hero's immature, but it's like, the main character is a 16-year-old. So, like it's kind of looking at the world from a dynamic lens, and all these characters have like the cheesy backstories that One Punch Man makes fun of. Like My Hero capitalizes on that.
Yeah.
So
Like
it's kind of
Saitama is very much a millennial. He is this kind of 25-year-old dude that's just kind of living like in a modest place trying to save every buck he can. And it has that kind of perspective where
like he'll tell people not to be throwing a fit and destroy stuff because he'll be like, so you just go around everywhere and beat up people because like you're bored? That's stupid. You should find more constructive use for your time. And it's crazy
yeah,
how he gives people who are obviously outside of normal characteristics or any normal spectrum, like it's a space pirate who's
yeah.
like a Dragon Ball Z character, and he's just like, you need a hobby. like like kind of deal. Like you're just like, wow. It's kind of it's like Superman always has this god complex, but Saitama has like a mortal complex. Like
Yeah,
he's just
is
like, I just want to have a day off. And people were like, dude, you could one punch anything. Is your life hard? Like, dude, there's always something to do. Even if it's not hard, it's annoying.
yes. He's just kind of he's basically a god that kind of just wants to live as a normal dude.
That's what I love is when he goes and does the exam and like it shows the results of him. And I bet you he half-assed it. Like, I don't want to break their equipment.
Yeah.
Oh, I broke their equipment. I hope they don't charge me for that. Because like when he threw his punch against Boros, that shit went around the world. Like it showed the tiny bit of what Boros's attack did.
Yeah.
But what I loved was like, at least in the anime, they really focus on it. After he punches Boros with like a serious punch, it cuts to the night sky and shows plants going in the wind.
Yeah.
When he punched Boros, it was daytime.
Yeah.
So his punch had enough shockwave force to it to cause wind on the dark side of the earth.
Yeah, like it was still like going around, like it
Yeah.
completely like split like the clouds and everything. It was a ridiculously powerful punch. And
So
that's one of the things that I love about Murata and his artwork, that you can read something like Dragon Ball Z and they'll tell you that somebody's power level is 4 quadrillion and they can blow up the solar system, but you never really get through the artwork the feeling of how powerful these characters are. And
yeah, other than
Murata,
rocks and pebbles floating up as they charge up, that's it.
exactly.
Or
And
when Goku did Super Saiyan 3, that was the closest thing I saw to what happens on One Punch Man on a regular
yeah,
basis.
Murata shows in like great detail how powerful all of these attacks are and scales them up appropriately. Like the first time he got knocked to the fucking moon was such a cool moment because you're sitting there, like it makes you feel the distance between the earth and the moon, the size of Saitama compared to the
And
moon.
when he lands, the
Yeah.
moon's right here over his shoulder,
Yeah.
and he has that smug look on his face, like, I made it back. And Boros just looks at him like,
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Like what the
but I love
hell?
how you can see how tiny the moon is in the distance, like how
Yeah.
far he travels. He's like,
And
yeah, I'm back.
And the fact that just jumping off of it and having to use that force would create a gigantic crater on the moon that takes up like
A
2/3 of its
quarter of the
surface.
surface area
Yeah.
that we saw, you
Yeah.
know, it's a noticeable, that was a Tetsuo level moment.
Yeah.
Like, and that was just him trying to get back to where he was at.
Yeah.
Like he landed on the ship and like pushed it down and all that.
Yeah.
That's why like the after he did the test, like one guy was looking at the results and like he was apparently there when he did the test and he's just like they're like he's got to cheat and he's like no, a god walks in that body. Like
Yeah,
just,
so some of like watching people slowly get clued in onto what Saitama really is really satisfying.
yeah, like when he punches the deep sea king and you just see
Yeah.
him die and fall down, everybody's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they don't even care how it happened. They're just glad he's dead. But they're like, he took him down in one punch. You saw that, right? And I was like, I rewinded,
and
I
the
rewinded
fact,
that to hear it. Like I was like, I just wanted to hear it again. Like,
and the fact that he has to downplay his own part in killing that thing so that everybody doesn't turn against the other heroes, because nobody can accept that he's that strong. They have to assume that all the other heroes are weak, and they start turning against the heroes. And he's like, oh yeah, I didn't do anything. I just kind of like punched it after it was weak, but you guys better give me the full credit for it. Like he was putting on this whole
don't
act.
let him die so I could collect the credit for it. Shit like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah.
And he's basically sacrificing his own
heel.
reputation. Yeah, exactly.
Man, it's just crazy how this series has been going on for a while. I remember back when I was still living with Danny and stuff. That was when I like heard the anime was being made and I freaked out.
Yeah,
I
actually
this.
One of my favorite things was hanging out in the trailer with you, like getting drunk and watching One Punch Man.
Because it's like literally like, all right, let's see if he kills him with one punch. Yep, one punch. And then when he fought Boros, we're like, it took more than one punch.
Yes, but they always find new ways to set it up. Like it's the same punchline every time, but the setup is always different.
Line.
There's so many layers to this, bro.
There's not. It's simple. It's a Taco Bell burrito. Like it's just done really well.
Yeah, it's a really good beefy 5-layer.
Like it honestly is a series where like you could be like that one thing where that picture you sent me where it's like you need to read Berserk and Vagabond and Monster and all this. And I'm just like, I like One Punch Man.
Yeah.
People are like, why? You're like, because it's great. You know? Like, but I find it awesome that you could have a character that's a walking god in his own narrative, but then you see progression still in characters in your narrative. Usually when you have progressions where your main character is engaging a power, like My Hero Academia, Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, all the big ones, it's all about watching them go and build and become stronger. The only series where I see like that's different is like the ones where you come in, the character's already got notoriety. Like Toriko's like that, kind of like John Wick. Like, oh, you don't know Toriko? Toriko's like a super badass gourmet hunter. Oh, like, you know, you don't know Saitama? Well, nobody knows him.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's super powerful and he gets everything done so quickly. There's no epic battle to be broadcasted, to be watched, for anything to happen. He's just like bad guy.
Do you think he can be kind of almost like a metaphor for the people in society that make the gears turn but never get any recognition for it? Of like the people that
he's like an essential worker, kind of unsung hero.
Yeah, he's an essential worker that's out there grinding and making everybody's lives better, but nobody knows who he is because his job's so unglamorous and he doesn't hog the spotlight.
All right, so this episode might go a little bit further than just season 1 because this is an important point to make. It's not really stated outright until when he tries to do the martial arts tournament that monster attacks are on the rise and the Monster Association thing was starting to come to fruition.
Yeah.
I wonder why. The author also it's very like you don't notice it. That's what I love about this series. It's like like in One Piece, Oda will craft like such an elaborate like find me little picture, like where's Waldo of info.
Like with the booger?
Yeah. Whereas like with what's it called? One Punch Man, it'll be very in your face, but it just like Bang talking to Genos and Saitama, he's like, oh, I used to have a disciple. He was super powerful, but I had to kick his ass and throw him out.
Yeah, the way
Garo.
they set up Garo was kind of cool.
And it's like super early on. It's a toss away line, you know.
Mm.
It's the same with like, you know, Saitama's impact on society is like that. Like, you know, the only reason that the monsters were able to even get together was because apparently he got distracted by trying to win the prize at the martial arts tournament
Mhm.
in the time leading up to him preparing for the tournament and then trying to be in the tournament actually distracted him long enough for the monsters to do that because he was the one thing keeping them at bay because they had to pass through his neighborhood to go the thing or whatever. So like essentially it was like, I don't know, like he wasn't doing what he normally did, so something bad happened. So I could see how you could say he's essential
Yeah,
because that's the thing.
people don't realize the effect he's having on society until you take him out of it.
Yeah.
Where it's like you don't realize how many monster attacks he's stopping until he stops stopping monster attacks.
And I love how like those attacks he does stop, they're nothing to him. Like it's just
Yeah.
part of the job. Like
Yeah.
it's just like don't worry about it. Like I'm a hero for fun. So helping you out and doing a hero's job is fun to me, even if it's a little annoying, you know? Like he just doesn't give a shit. That's why
Okay.
when he got the letter from Moomin Rider, I was really happy. I love how his biggest fans are like people who have more fans than him. Like Bang is a fan of Saitama because he's seen
Mhm.
Saitama in action. He defends Saitama whenever he can. Like he tells people he'll be in charge of the S class when he finally gets his recognition.
Exactly.
And like Genos loves Saitama. Like he's the first and big. Well, okay, he's not the first fan of Saitama, but he's probably the biggest fan of Saitama.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like
he's one of his first fans. He's like the first like guy. He's the first really powerful guy that acknowledged Saitama's power.
yeah. So it's like you said, the way he consolidates power, like all those people come to him, is very interesting because it's like he doesn't do anything. Like literally, characters will show up like, "I'm here to get revenge on you for making me look bad," or "I'm here to subjugate you to my will because I'm in charge of this class of heroes," and he's just like, "I already bought a vacuum. Leave me alone. I'm sorry. This is stupid. If there's a monster killing people, let me know."
Yeah,
I don't
and
know. I'd
if he
have
had
Stipe play him in a live action. Just be like, Stipe knows it.
see, but my casting choice for him in a live action would be Danny Pudi. He's the guy from Community, but he's got that straight like deadpan demeanor, and I think he could completely nail Saitama.
How do you spell that?
Danny and then Pudi.
Like pudding.
Okay, so
Oh, that guy. That dude's hilarious.
did you see his interview with Larry King? So he was talking to Larry King, and Larry King's like, "What's a luxury you can't live without?" And he's like, "I don't know. I like my socks. These are nice socks. They keep my feet warm. I like those." And Larry King's just like, "Your socks?" And he's like, "Yeah, I like the coffee that I drink. That's pretty good." And then he's like, "I was thinking something more luxurious." And he's like, "What do you consider a luxury?" And Larry's like, "I don't know, private jets." He's like, "Private jets?" Larry, I'm on DuckTales. But like just the way he delivered that line, I feel like he could. Yeah, exactly. Like the way he delivers that line, I feel like he would be the perfect Saitama, just because he's so like
he is on the
unsung.
reboot of DuckTales.
Yeah, he's on DuckTales.
Wow. Oh man. See, we live in an interesting world. People just gotta be, I don't know. They gotta put their blinders on, just focus on One Punch Man and other stuff. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
It is a good series, like, you know, as much as like talking about a guy being depressed about life, it is a good series for people with depression, you know. Like I feel like it's kind of a outlet. You get to see this guy who ultimately has like superpowers and he's still unhappy is kind of something that makes people who are unhappy naturally and feel powerless feel a little bit better because it's like, hey, no matter where you're at, you're still going to have issues, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, who's happy when they 100% complete a game? I don't think anybody. Like, you'll be happy for a minute, but if it's your favorite game, you just beat it. It's done.
And then you're just like, I spent hundreds and hundreds of hours getting 100% completion, so now I have like a Mickey Mouse hat for Link. That's all I got out of this.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you do Zelda, if you do like a,
I don't know. I only know Zelda. That's the only game that I've really like spent the hours trying to collect everything on.
got my giant crab and an arc.
Did you eat too much crab?
I'm gonna go catch another one of those and name it Crab Latte.
You should. If I ever get a pet crab, he is Crablante.
But yeah, honestly, the One
Put
Punch
put
Man
put, put little
episode.
whitey tidies on him.
Ooh, vampire crabs. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be cool. Get a little, and that's funny too. Like Crablante is such a dorky villain, but he's like literally the dumbest looking villain Saitama's fought, other than like maybe the guy in the armor and stuff. Like
They drew
Bo-
nipples on him and he can't even wipe it
Boros
off.
Boros is like a super like Dragon Ball Z character. Like that's what I thought was funny. Is like Boros was supposed to be a Dragon Ball Z character. Like he transformed and he's like the energy around my body just keeps gaining strength and
Boros
I can
looks
destroy
like
a planet.
Boros looks like the anime doodles I would do when I was in 5th grade. Like
Yeah,
that's
what I
from a
love
design
about him.
perspective. Yeah.
Like you're just like thinking about your crush drawing this super edgy character. Like I'll give him sword arms and gun hands, and
He's got one eye and spiky hair. And
yeah, but it's like I wouldn't be surprised if somebody shows up like I capture animals and make them fight things, and Saitama's like that's twisted. This is like what other? And that's the thing, they don't take shots at series. Like literally, like Speed of Sound Sonic's just like a diss on ninjas in general. Like he's an actually very proficient character in his series, and even outside his world, his feats of speed are pretty impressive. But like at the end of the day, it's like I don't know, like he's
I like how he had to go get his ninja gear before he could come back to the battle, and by the time he came back, it was
yeah, for the Sea King.
Yeah.
You just prove how strong I am. Hold on, I'll be right back so I could kill you.
The thing that I loved about the early villains, though, that they kind of lost was that all of the villains, even though they were like monsters, they kind of represented real human concerns. Like Vaccine Man was like revenge on people for polluting the planet. And then all of the bald guys, I can't remember their names, they were like basically guys that were like trying to revolutionize the workforce and like fight against the exploitation of the working class. Like a lot of these ideas.
No. The bald guys were interesting actually because they were stealing Saitama's look.
Yeah.
The bald thing. But the thing about it was they were revolting because they didn't want to work.
Yeah.
They felt like they should be able to just sit around, do nothing at all. So from a Japanese standpoint, that's like essentially, like I said, being a bump. Now, Saitama's no one to argue because he essentially lays around all day watching the news, and somehow I don't even know how he gets money to pay for things, but he does something, probably recycling or something.
He's probably on government assistance.
Yeah, so if they have that in Japan, I'm pretty sure they don't have that. Like it's literally like, that's why when a lady's husband dies, they're just like, how are you gonna go on? Oh, we have savings, we'll figure it out. But like, yeah, that's why that episode's interesting, because Saitama points out to them, like, you can't just throw a fit and put on a suit and get strength and get what you want. Like, the world doesn't change. Like, Saitama's literally could punch a bank completely out of orbit and just be like, I'll do that to the next one unless you give me money. And like, he could live an easy life. But because of his morals and ethics, like he lives super cheaply. Like, he ate monster seaweed because it was cheap. Like, he got home and they're like, where'd you get that seaweed? He's like, I found it.
There was a sale, yeah.
Like, he has no qualms against eating mutant monster meat because he's that broke. Which I mean, like, honestly, like, like you're saying about Chael Sonnen, that whole incident with, was it Ortiz? Who was it that was the day old cheeseburger? They're like, dude, just buy a cheeseburger.
Oh, it was with Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, Dominic Cruz is like, I'll eat the cheeseburger tomorrow. Like, it's like, once you get to a certain power level, you're just like, you're worried about bacteria? Like, grown men can't even kill me. Like,
yeah.
So it's like kind of funny, like, like that's why I don't know. One Punch Man kind of like I haven't been the most lucrative person in my life, but I've been frugal and I live a pretty fulfilling life at minimal resources. So that's why I feel like I kind of feel for Saitama. But it's like he is the discount hero. Like, he wears rubber dishwashing gloves to fight. He mostly dodges so his outfit won't get broken.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's
you worked hard on that outfit.
Well, everybody like from what I've read, even in the webcomic, everybody just keeps constantly asking them like, did you buy that at a costume store, or like is that like pajamas that you put boots and gloves over? Like what is it? I'm still trying to figure out what kind of material that costume's gotta be. It's gotta be like something.
Yeah, some
But
sort
it's
of
like,
cloth or something.
but yeah, I don't know. It's just funny. Like, there's so many things you could speculate about the series because it's so simple, and that's the beauty of it. Is it's a simple series. Guy's super powerful in a world that's kind of complicated, like any other world. But it's just about watching this simple guy go through, and I feel like his filter makes the convolutedness of a lot of what I like about those series a lot easier to digest. Like, I love superheroes, but reading Ghost Rider and all the convoluted, like, who's this chick? Oh, well, she knows so and so knows so and so, and she dated so and so, was involved with so and so, messed up Johnny Blaze's life, and Johnny Blaze related to all these different intricate characters. Like, I could appreciate that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I want a break. I just want the fun of a superhero series without all the headache.
But you can get the headache too because of all the rankings and stuff in the hero organization. Like if that's something you're into as a shonen person of like which character is stronger than this and like how are they progressing and stuff, you can dive into all of that in One Punch Man. It's almost like
If you want to, but the
if you
author
want to.
doesn't point it out. Like there's no power levels, there's no energy readers. Even if there are, Saitama just makes them pointless. Like
Yeah.
if somebody made a scouter and looked at Saitama, they'd be like, it says 0. It's like, well, because it went all the way up past 1,000 and then broke and went back to 0, and that's the joke.
Okay, so regarding the Hero Association, you can kind of go down the line of every hero and just talk about like how hilarious their concept is. Like they're all really well envisioned characters. But
Yeah, like the glutton.
But who
Good
is
God.
who is your favorite of the supporting heroes? Or who stands out to you the most? Like who do you enjoy reading?
I'm gonna leave Genos out of this because Genos is the main character. Like he's co-pilot on this.
Yeah,
series.
he's
But
filling that Chewbacca
I love
role.
Tornado. She's awesome. Tatsumaki.
Yeah,
She's hella funny. I also Bang because he's just like so serious about everything, and like oh, I don't know. I love when Genos thought he was pushing the meteor back, and like Bang's such a stoic, serious character, and he's looking at the meteor. He's like, "You're pushing it back," and he's like,
wait,
"Really?"
nope.
It was just my imagination, but he still has the same serious look on his face, but now it looks dorky because he's wrong.
And that was like the first time anyone got a rise out of Genos. You're just like, God damn it, old man.
Yeah,
like, he was
right?
actually exasperated.
And it is funny to see how Genos has opened up a lot more because of Saitama, to where now he's a more open character. Like when Sonic shows up at his apartment later on, or Saitama's apartment later on, and Genos is like, "Why are you here?" He's like, "I'm Saitama's rival," and he's like, "You don't rival shit," and like starts fighting him like no hesitation. Like, but the way he talks shit to him is like, I'm like, dude, you learned that from Saitama, because Saitama's always talking shit on people. Like,
yeah, he's like rubbing off on people a little bit as far as his personality goes. It's great. But okay, so my favorite of like the supporting heroes, it has to be the entire tank top line.
okay,
That's so
yeah.
entertaining to me. Tank top tiger and tank top vegetarian.
I could only put this tank top on for about 5 minutes before it starts tightening on my body too much and causing me to. I don't know, but it's like he tells people like, if you ever want to walk down the path of the tank top, let me know. Like the tank top's what gives them power, not just working out. Like it's like you need to work out super hard so that you can wear the tank top, and it's like, I think working out super hard is what's giving you the power, not but that's the thing. It's like the tank. Who knows? Like with One Punch Man, the tank top might not be a placebo. It could very well like he loses.
Yeah, there
his
might be
tank top
real
and he's
power in
just like,
the tank top. I mean,
or
they
he'll
seem
be
to
like,
stay on.
I am guessing right now we'll see a moment in the future where Tank Top Master loses his tank top in battle and has to convince himself and power up to a form where he could fight without his tank top, and it will be justified as a special power up in which he could fight without his tank top, when in reality.
I can't believe we haven't even talked about King yet. Oh no, we're talking about first season, so we should save that till the second, because like we don't get the whole King reveal until the second season.
We've watched the second and the first. I feel like this is just This is just a One Punch Man episode, huh?
Well, no, we're gonna do an episode on the second season next week. This is just I just want to keep this one to the first season because I actually haven't seen the second season yet.
Well, so like personally, what has been your experience with this series? Like, how did it come into your life? How did you hear about it?
Oh, I think I heard about it from you.
Okay,
Yeah,
like,
you're the one that told me to watch it.
yeah, I remember when you remember when I was a security guard for a while, right? And
Yeah.
I remember there'd be nights where it'd be like, all right, just chill here, watch this post, let people in, out, So it's like gate duty, and
Mhm.
so you really just watch the cars coming in, kind of scope the parking lot every now and then. But it was in Livermore, nothing happens out there, so it's like
Yeah.
you're just sitting
Telling
there
people to get off the
bored.
grass. Yeah.
So I ended up reading the webcomic and just sitting there, and there's just something about like feeling jaded, like working and all that, and then reading it, like I kind of had this feeling kind of about me as it kind of made me hate my job less. I don't know why, but it's just like there's a sincerity to the work, even in the original one. Like the original webcomic has a sincerity that even goes all the way through an entire redraw and into an anime where one's heart is still in it, where it's just like no matter what power you have, no matter what position you're in, whether you're rank S or rank C or not even known and you're weak or you're strong, like you're you're gonna have to do something to change your life. And that's one thing Saitama tells people a lot is like if you don't like it, change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I feel is like it's like one of those series like I like to point this out, the 100-foot sit-ups, 100 push-ups, and 10 kilometer is kind of a joke. Yeah, it's a joke on like you can't just do that every day for 3 years and get superpowers. Guys do more than that, and like they don't have
Yeah.
superpowers. But I think it's the fact like as much as people want to theorize like, oh, he broke his limiter, that's what gave him like there's a whole concept like the power system in One Punch Man is based off of limits and breaking them,
Well,
and that's how you get.
the
But
the the whole
I'm
point is that it's like it's
he
not the workout itself is arbitrary. It's about working hard for it and doing it every day.
exactly. I don't try to I try to look at the series how the author wants me, how I think the author wants me to read it. And the way I think he wants me to read it is to just enjoy it and read
Yeah.
the narrative and not look for all the extra BS because eventually it'll be there. Like reading the webcomic, like a lot of questions or assumptions or characters you're wondering about, they'll be brought up. And it's still going. It's still going strong. So it's like a weird situation with read the manga where most of the time we tell people watch the anime because I don't know, we're watch the anime now.
The anime is really good, but the
The
manga's
anime
good
is
too.
really good.
Like the music is so fucking good too. That's
Oh, the
another.
music's amazing.
Yeah, the music's amazing. The animation's beautiful. Like definitely watch the anime, but read the manga too.
I still think Israel Adesanya entering the ring to Garo's theme would be like the most intense thing you could do as an anime person. Like
I wonder if Izzy's watched One Punch Man. Like he has to have at some point, right?
I mean, like he's an anime fan, and One Punch Man is a mainstream one. So I mean,
Yeah.
like as far as like people like even people that don't watch anime are kind of aware of One Punch Man because it's a comedy, especially because of Adult Swim showing it. Like I feel like that helped it a bit. Though I
I
will
mean,
say it took him forever to get it over here in English.
if he's
Like
ever gonna fight Francis Ngannou, he's got to study One Punch Man.
Francis Ngannou reminds me of the Tank Top Masters. So I don't know why.
Not Super Alloy Blackluster.
You know what's funny is they gave him like a super like yo what up voice,
Yeah, they
in
gave
the
him like a
anime.
stereotypical black voice.
Yeah, and I'm just like in the comic, if you read it, he started out as just a normal skinny little scrawny Japanese dude, but he worked out so hard he looked that way.
Yeah.
And
Saitama
I'm
lost his hair and he got shiny black skin.
yeah, and see, look at that too. Like Saitama's workout versus Alloy Darkshines. Like
Mm.
Alloy Darkshine definitely did more I guess physics in physics terms, like science, like he did more work.
Yeah.
But like effort's more of like a human concept, right? Like it's your feelings about putting that amount of work into something. That's what, at least what I think of effort, because it's mental and physical. Like
Definitely.
having effort to do something. Like, do I have the effort to go to the store right now?
Yeah,
Well,
like
physically,
okay.
I could do it, but
So I'm actually gonna relate this to the One Punch Man workout because I've been doing it like as is, as it says on the page. I'm not doing it every day because that's just stupid. You need a rest day. So I've been doing it like every other day all week. So I've done it like 3 or 4 times this week.
how do you feel?
My hair's not falling out yet. But the first mile, the first time that I ran the 10K all the way through,
Yeah, you told me
like
about that.
yeah, but
It was tough.
yeah, it was tough. It was like by the like fifth mile, I felt like I was fucking dead and I was just putting one foot in front of the other. And I ran it today and it almost felt too easy. Like it was crazy how quickly my body adapted to the conditioning. Like it wasn't something I physically couldn't do. It was just something that I hadn't done before and my brain was telling me not to and I had to get over
Kind
that.
of like in the anime when it shows him running,
Yeah.
and
And
then it
and I
shows
have
his it sort of shows the current Saitama just sprint past him.
yeah. It's like you will break your own mental barriers. So much of when your body is telling you not to do something, unless you're like actually injured. But like if it's just soreness, if it's just like sucking wind, if you're just having trouble like getting through it, like you just have to grit your teeth and put one foot in front of the other. And every day gets easier as long as you do it every day.
Yeah, I mean it's a concept of incremental growth. You know,
Exactly.
a lot of people want those stonks gains right from the
Yeah.
get-go. I need to power up and eat the tree of might's fruit so then I can become the one true shinobi in the land of the Shinigami.
Yeah.
Or you could just work out really hard for 3 years, which is way more than a normal time skip in anime. That's what I find funny, is like 3 years is like such a weird amount of time. Like
Mhm.
One Piece had two, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of series have one.
Yeah.
It's like
Naruto at 3.
Naruto had three?
Yeah.
No, something like that. I don't know.
Something
He
like
had his
that.
time
Two and a
skip
half.
all. We're post time skip Saitama,
Yeah, and we never even got to see pre-time skip
and that's
Saitama
all
really.
people want to watch. People want a whole season of just. I want to see Saitama's life before he even was a hero because he's such an interesting
Or just
character.
watch his come up as like the battles are getting easier and easier and easier.
I mean, it seemed like he only fought a couple times as he was coming up before his hair fell out, and even then, like it seemed like the super strength was almost immediate because they say, like, while he had his hair he punched a monster through a wall, so like
Yeah,
didn't he say it was like 6 months his hair fell out?
something like that.
So like, yeah, within 6 months he was able to punch monsters through walls, so like there's got it. And honestly, like maybe there is something weird about Saitama, as far as the narrative goes. Maybe he has a weird body,
But like I hope they
but
don't explain that
it's
because
all
that
pointless. Like,
yeah.
yeah, it's all benign. Like the point is we have a guy who fought a Goku parody character and stomped him without trying. Consecutive normal punched his ass into oblivion. And that dude was like, I power up an aura around my body that disintegrates energy and propels me to punch even harder. And I kicked you to the moon. And you came back and punched me once and I died. So it's like
Yeah.
everything after Lord Boros fight is really just like, I don't know. It's interesting. After a Lord Boros fight, you're already aware of how powerful Saitama is. Because when you first watch it, it's like as you watch it, see, like I'll admit, even when I read it the first time, watched it the first time, I expected Boros to give him a fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, maybe he's not One Punch Man, but he's still super powerful guy.
Yeah.
And no, like the kicker or the stinger of it is when Boros is like, you didn't even try. I could sense it. You didn't even try one bit, not even 1%. Like,
Yeah.
like, and he's just like, I'm sorry, dude. And it's like that mixed with the dream sequence earlier in the season, it's like you could really feel like, so what? This guy did the 1% every day until he became super duper powerful, and all that matters is the fact that he got too powerful too quickly, and that's never fun.
No, it's not. Too much
Like it's
success
like
too early sucks. That's
I,
that's my justification for underachievement.
well, I mean, like, have you ever used a cheat code thing like Game Sharks?
Yeah.
That'd be like you go on Knights of the Old Republic and you give all your characters maximum health, maximum magic, maximum items, all the best stuff right from the
Yeah.
get-go.
The game's not fun at that point because there's nothing to work for.
So Saitama's like a guy who like went into the hero game with like a question mark and a strength stat.
Yeah, he's
and
playing
like
life on God mode.
Yeah, so it's like, of course it's gonna be boring. Like, you know, even playing Ark, like I have the ability to just fly around the map and use cheat codes whenever I want. But it's like, why'd I pay money for the game if I'm gonna do that? On just personally me, I'm not criticizing other people who do it. But like in my mind, it's like I paid money for something to challenge and frustrate me, which is interesting. Which is like funny because video games are the only thing Saitama really enjoys. Because like he gets he's not good at them.
Yeah, he's not good at him. King beats his ass at him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I actually have to get going, but I think this is a good episode. We pretty much evaluated most of the important parts of season 1. Anything we didn't get to, we will talk about in part 2 of our One Punch Man episode next week when we talk about One Punch Man season 2. So everyone go out, watch One Punch Man season 1, but more importantly, read the manga.
Both of them.
That goes for both of them. Yeah, both.